Welcome to You Belong in the Room, a podcast from Powership. This show explores the topics that help shape our lives, including money and career, health, and relationships. The goal of this show is to bring the conversations that I am really lucky to have in my regular life with experts and leaders on topics that matter to more women in order to be able to share them more broadly and to elevate our confidence and our comfort level to be in the room, to be part of them. Thank you for being here. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult a qualified professional for your specific circumstances. I am so excited to be here today with Laure Goubau, who is an old friend, an old colleague, and a very present day inspiring woman.
Thanks,
who
Linz.
has done a lot in her career over the last decade or so, and can certainly lend us some insight on the front of risk-taking,
Sure.
finding your purpose,
Sure.
understanding your values. Laure,
Yes.
tell us a bit. How did you get from lawyer to Gloria founder and where you are today?
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I am very happy to be here, and I'm going to send everything right back at you because I think I feel very blessed to have you in my life, and I'm constantly inspired by you, and especially by the fact that, you know, we've had a career in big law, but also we've done multiple transitions to land where we are today. And who knows what's going to come down later down the road. But for myself, I think a few highlights, like you mentioned, career in big law. But then because of personal circumstances and health challenges, I made a pivot in 2013 to move from being a practicing lawyer to being responsible for professional development at McCarthy Tétrault, where we both worked.
Yep.
Did that for a few years, ended up having a baby, which is great. But then a few years later, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so that, again, had an impact on my career because it gave me an opportunity to really reflect on what was important to me. I'm not going to say that having cancer is a blessing. I actually think it's the worst. But it did give me an opportunity to work with an executive coach, which was a really transformative experience and helped me think about how I wanted to contribute to the world. So many women go through so many things.
Yeah.
From a health perspective, which can influence career trajectory and decisions we make about showing up as leaders or not.
Yep.
That there's actually a huge need to support women through health as it intersects with work. And realizing that this is actually not being offered right now. It's a huge blind spot for organizations.
Totally.
And so it has become my mission, my purpose. It sometimes feels like a calling, which is a bit weird, but to have an impact there in organizations so that you don't lose this incredible female talent that you've invested so much in, that you care deeply about, that brings so much to the table. So this is why I'm so passionate about what I do with Gloria Coach. Yep.
I totally see how it's a calling. And I do think that once you uncover something like that, that is how it feels. And it's so much fun to watch you just day in, day out over the last, how many years has it been?
It'll be almost 2 years.
2 years. Only. It feels like it's big. I want to talk about values, okay? Because values is exactly correlated to this idea, I think, of listening to yourself. It will help guide your decision-making. It helps cut out some of the noise. It helps identify the fact that we're all different. And sometimes what you feel in tension with other people is just like a difference in values, and that's okay. Given your expertise in values, which I'm saying mostly because you helped me uncover mine.
Okay.
Right? Quite easily, I would say. Please, let's talk a little bit more about how people can think about uncovering their values, the importance that values have.
Yep.
And I would even say, like, how did you use your values to kind of lead you to where you are
Okay.
now?
Okay. This might be an unpopular suggestion, but you can start with Google. No, but I'm serious. I think putting words, finding the right words around values, I think is step number one. And if for this, Google is your friend. So I would say,
or ChatGPT, maybe.
Maybe it depends. Sometimes this is popular or not. But I would say start unpacking that vocabulary, because you'll realize that there's such a breadth of values that we can have out there. Like it can be, I value being popular. I value having money. I value learning. I value perfection. There's everything, right, under the rainbow that can be considered something that you value. But naming it, I think, is the first part. But then because there's so much out there, you cannot hold every value, right? And so it's figuring out, okay, what are my top 10?
Well, that's it. You can't hold them all at the same level at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's figuring out, okay, right now, what are, for example, my top 10? And can I even place them in order?
Yeah.
What is the number one, right? And then take a step back and think about, wait, are these aspirational values? Or are these truly values that I live and breathe every day? Like I can make these come to life. Like I live my life according to this. Or it's something that I want to do. Or I should have these values. I should value family. Well, maybe for some people it is number one, but for some of us it might not be number one.
Well, that's a good point. Like figuring out the difference between what you feel expected to value versus what you actually value.
Yeah.
And giving yourself the ability to be free to acknowledge what it is that really does make you tick. Because that's what your values are, right? They're the things that are motivating you. They're like your underlying...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think figuring that out, and then it's like, oh, can I actually... does this happen right now in my career? Is this happening at work? Or I think for me, one of the biggest... unpacking that I did when I was working with an executive coach, I think this must have been 2016 or 2017. I figured out that one of my core values was learning. Yeah. And then you're like, wait a minute, am I actually still learning at work? And then you start feeling that disconnect. And then, wait, it doesn't mean that work is bad, but how can I inject that back into work? Or can I make it happen outside of work? And that's unfortunate because I'm really feeling it. So maybe there's something I can do about it. Or it's like, no, this too shall pass. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can only say that for myself, it really is a visceral, it's a visceral feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to say to myself, does that mean that?
Yeah.
I was once asked to speak on a panel at Des Hotels Finance for Women. And it was somewhat last minute and I had to cancel more of a social plan.
Okay.
And I wanted to do it. I wanted to cancel the social plan.
Yeah.
And I wanted to speak on the panel. And I was like, what's that about? Right. And it kind of speaks to, that the whole self-transcendence thing. Like I love learning. I love giving back.
Yeah.
So I always look at self-enhancement and self-transcendence, which are basically, right, improving yourself or improving the world, kind of. And they're supposed to be in tension. I love them both a lot. So I find that I'm consistently trying to find things where they're less in tension, where I could do both.
Yeah.
And that sometimes for me trumps hanging out with friends, which, is a whole other topic for another day. But you do have to be honest with yourself about what your values are, because that is the way that is the way towards achieving the life that you want. I think it's the clearest way. I also think it's the clearest way of having a great relationship with money. Not feeling like you're going to make the same decisions as someone else because you may not share the same values. You found a whole other focus professionally. Really what feels like is your purpose.
100%.
When did it start for you? Like what was, because we talk about finding our purpose as if it's some aha moment that culminates. But I know from having experienced it somewhat alongside you in my own way that it's actually just like one foot in front of the other, leading you towards where it feels like you are meant to be going.
Yes.
In a way. So I'm curious to know for you, like, how do you remember that process, or how did it start?
Yes. When you start to really listen to yourself and recognizing certain patterns of behaviors or certain feelings or emotions, and then you can start putting words to it. I think this is one of the helpful elements that perhaps helps crystallize a purpose. I think there's also a question of timing, because in order to live or, make a career out of your purpose, I think for some of us, certain elements need to be put in place, and some of that is directed by timing. And then I think it's also data, like understanding what the market is and and whether or not there's a gap there that you can fill with your skills, with your expertise, with your energy. But really understanding the market, I think, is important. And that might mean you need to interview people to pressure test your idea. It might mean that you're going to crunch some numbers to understand the scale of the opportunity or not. So I would say those are the elements that, for me, allowed me to have more awareness of my purpose, but also like going eyes wide open, I think. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And I think, you touch on this, like listening to yourself concept, of which it sounds super easy. Yeah. I think we talk about it as if we should all have that skill or ability. I know that for myself, it's something that has come into being. And now now that I can hear myself, I can't unhear myself.
Right.
For better or worse. But it isn't that simple, right? Yeah. And having been lawyers at a big law firm, I think we can already attest to the fact that it takes a lot of pushing down, listening to yourself at times in order to achieve and work at a certain level. I know that you helped me with it. Yeah. And that's like the beauty of what I am trying to do here with this podcast, is basically bring people in my life like you, conversations that I've had in my life like the ones I've had with you, and share them, because I happen to be very lucky to be surrounded by such awesomely intelligent, insightful experts in all these different fields. And when I was feeling less than thriving in my own career. And we had a friendly conversation one afternoon, and I told you how I was feeling. You basically coached me into uncovering that my values were no longer aligned with my professional life.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. I put on my coaching hat.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, because
I think about it too. I think it was on the corner over there.
Yes.
I remember the geography of it.
Yeah.
But I think you raise an important point, because it's important in certain circumstances to push through, right? Because we also have to figure out, I'm inconvenienced, or I actually have a problem, or I'm disconnected. Yeah. We all feel inconvenienced. We all feel annoyed with work, our careers, our life, etc. But sometimes I do think we need a little bit of help to figure out, is this an inconvenience? And okay, this too shall pass. Yeah. Or I can get through this. I have the skills. I have the strength, the energy, and all that good stuff. Or is this actually truly a problem and a disconnect, and I need to operate change? Yeah. Sometimes it's helpful to be accompanied in that reflection. But I think the starting point is you have to be able to feel it, and you have to be able to name it, and so that you can actually talk about it. We feel guilt if we raise our head up and are like, wait a minute, should I explore something else? Or we're scared, or so many things, right?
As women, we also we're pretty good at putting up with a lot of stuff in every single area. And that is a skill set, but you kind of got to know where that skill set should end, and where honoring whatever it is you need for yourself begins and which one is serving you when. I have moments all the time when I'm uncomfortable, all the time when I feel stressed or challenged. Yeah. And I also have the ability to say that's what I want. Mm-hmm. I want to be challenged.
Yes.
I want to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I don't want to be unhappy.
Yes.
And I have felt the feelings of this isn't like a good challenge or a good discomfort. This is
right.
I need to make a change. Like it feels different. So I do think that if we could allow ourselves to get in touch with those feelings, I mean, that is a really, really important first step for living any kind of meaningful, fulfilled life. And when it comes to health, that's also something we ignore. You know, a lot of feelings around our health, you know, we just tough it out.
100%. I think this is probably one of the core areas where we're not supported, but also we've been socialized and essentially trained our entire lives to not listen to what's going on in our bodies. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to listen to yourself when you're in pain or when you're exhausted or just listening and then try to make a decision, an informed decision when you've got physical or health issues going on. Yeah. We are expected, whether it's health and maternal health, we're all expected to go back to work as if nothing really happened or nothing is actually going on. Mm-hmm. And it just shows us how much the work world is made for, well, it is not made for the female body. Mm-hmm. It just feels so deeply about this stuff. And I think that's why I started to make a career out of it, because I want to support women through these different intersections, through these journeys of life. Yeah. Because we end up making decisions alone. Yeah. We make them in fear, or we make them without enough data. And so I find through executive coaching, it's a really helpful.
Risk-taking is hard.
Yes.
And we've both done it.
Yeah.
And I think for women, it probably is harder.
Yes.
And so let's unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
Because I know that for myself, it was like extremely hard that first time when I switched careers. Mm-hmm. But since then, it's been a lot easier because I think that I know the upside is in the risk. And I now have the ability to hear myself a little, I think, more and have tools or skills for maybe being able to take calculated, smart, hopefully, risks.
Yes. But we hear this a lot. Mm-hmm. The first transition is usually the hardest, right? I think your reflections around risk are very important. In coaching, the conversations that we have generally start with, the pool is very murky, right? And so I can't move. I can't do anything. That's crazy. I could never do that. You're so brave, like what you're doing, right? Or this other person. I look at everyone else and they're doing all these such cool things. There's no way I can do that. But I find that it's often a question of not having all the information. Yeah. You don't have all the information, but also knowing thyself. Yeah. Like you can make much more calculated risks if you fully understand your strengths, if you fully understand what is it that you can bring to the world, like what your accumulated experiences are, what your leadership strengths and your behaviors are. Mm-hmm. What is all the muscle that you have built, right? Like you have all of this, and then using that and then looking at, the terrain out there, crunching a bit of data to figure out, oh no, like actually I can make this pool a lot more inviting. And
tell me what you think. The earlier we start doing it, I started professionally, close to being probably 40. Yep. No, that's not true, 35. Yeah. But I remember being a child in elementary school and only willing to raise my hand when I was 100% sure I knew the answer. Yes. And yes, I'm one of the kinds of perfectionists, for sure.
Were you the one who was like, what's the homework? I bet you were.
Well, I had all the same thoughts as like the boys who were the class clowns, but I would never say them out loud. Yeah. And, you know, I went to an all-girls high school, so I then kind of opened up more into being both of those personas, more or less. But it's only later in life now that I've started trusting my own voice and developed the ability to take these risks.
Yeah.
I think that I just wish
it was a bit earlier.
I just wish for all women,
we
would test it a little more, because there's a lot in life that you won't experience.
Yeah, but Linz, we're also often in environments that are not so conducive to feeling safe to do that.
Right.
Right?
Well, safety, that's yes.
Because you're being questioned, or if you say something or you say it too loudly, you are interpreted as you're not smart enough to be in this room, or you're too loud to be in the room, or who do you think you are to make a joke in these circumstances, right? And so I think we are also socialized, and we are in environments where there might not be as much room and safety for women to take risks. And I think there is also still very much this une injonction, as we would say, a pressure on navigating the world in a very stable and linear way. And in a way, it's a little bit, it can be associated to the fact that we are still very much the caregivers, that we are still very much the more present people at home, taking care of families, etc. So there's less room for us to be risk takers, right? Because we have to care for everyone else, right? So I think it's something like risk taking 100%.
That's an interesting point.
It takes, it takes a lot of courage to do it, but it also takes, I would find personally myself, it's like different circumstances.
Yeah.
Like stars need to be aligned.
And support.
Stars,
right?
Exactly. Like
I have a husband who's definitely cheering me on.
Exactly.
I'm making it work, but
yeah. No, same. But I think, it's like financial, like how are you doing financially? I think this is also a conversation like that I've had many times. Like there's no way I could do that. Like, well, have you crunched the numbers? Like I was just feeling anxious about my the last 2 months of my business, right? And I was like, oh, it didn't feel as busy. And then my husband is just like, well, did you actually look? Did you look at your P&L? And I'm like, oh yeah, like just move away from the feeling, grab onto the information so that you can make an informed decision.
And having hard conversations with yourself.
Yes.
And the people who support you.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, I think that is, it goes back to a lot of the things that we were saying about like knowing thyself.
Yeah.
Because then when you start noticing like, oh, I always have this conversation. I have a tendency to tell myself this or this or this or that. Like, what's the impact on me moving forward, right? And this is something that we talk a lot about in coaching.
Yeah.
What's the conversation that you're having with yourself? And also, what assumptions are you making about the circumstances or about this person or about anything? What are the assumptions that you're making? And whether or not these assumptions are true.
Yeah.
Right? And so like it's always like unpack, get more information.
Yeah.
Because I think this is it. Like we're totally blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to, there's a lot of
the conversations we have with ourselves are extremely powerful. And we often don't even recognize that we're having them.
Yes. I find that often these decisions that we make, they are micro decisions that we make all day, all the time, that are exhausting, and they should not be. But they are exhausting because we associate these decisions often with, there's like a feeling of guilt or something that comes in there.
Yeah.
Because there is an expectation related to what you were saying about social media. There is an expectation. You have to be a super friend. You have to be a super mom. You have to be a super giver. You have to be a super... Can we stop superwoman? Like, stop. You do you, what feels right in that moment with, obviously, you have an excellent judgment. You'll do the right thing. But the point is, like, we have to stop feeling guilty, I think, about these decisions that we're making. To that
point, exactly.
Yeah.
I really value family. I really do love my family very much. And I love my alone time. And
Me too.
I love time in my couple and with my friends.
Yeah.
But the alone time one,
Yeah.
so we were just on spring break. I was with my kids the entire time. It was really awesome. And I was very happy to come home to have moments kind of more my time that I get, luckily, in my own life.
Yeah.
And I mean that like during the week, related to work,
Yeah.
and on the weekend.
Yeah.
And so as I'm hiking up Trumbull this past weekend and you were there,
Yeah.
and it's like, I just love the feeling of that space in my head, the time to be in my thoughts, to feel what we're talking about.
100%.
And I put a picture on it on social media and thought to myself, well, there's always that, how will I be perceived? And frankly, I do think we need to make it more acceptable for women especially to love their alone time.
Oh, yeah.
To seek it, to, and to be present in it so that you can kind of get to do all the things that we're talking about. Because without the space and the presence and the pause, without the ability to hear yourself,
But I think this is for us, like, it's like probably like one of our greatest strength is that we do a lot. And we're very active and like productive, I would say.
Yeah.
But the flip side is really understanding, okay, wait, when is that enough? And then I need that time with myself so that I actually can be smarter and better when I'm producing and doing things in the world.
100%.
There is something so valuable in the quiet.
I've experienced the exact same shift. And I hate to say that it was probably around leaving law when... because obviously when you're billing by
Why do you hate to say?
Well, because I support everyone who's in that career.
Okay. I agree. I understand.
But the billable hour is such that there's always more that you could be doing.
Right.
And you don't have as much control on being on, I think, as you do, once I switched into finance. And I always felt like a little bit of an entrepreneur, much more now, because now I have a lot more control of what's going on.
Right.
But I love that in order to be a good entrepreneur, and really to be good at anything and everything, hearing yourself, I think, is a bit more honored or respected as part of having vision. I mean...
I think it's a good reminder for us, like, we have instincts and we need to listen to them.
Yes.
We forget.
Yes.
The instinct is so important. You have a voice, listen to it. Sometimes it's like the most powerful thing.
I mean, presently I have the best partner ever who looks to me as an equal and helps remind me that my voice is important and has now years of experience doing various things.
Right.
And there's just like, it's still this kind of new wonderful feeling. I think testing the confidence that it takes to take the space in the room to, and I think that that's partially what I want to do with this is it's never going to feel 100% comfortable.
Right.
It's not easy. It's like the idea is being in the room, being at the table, being part of these conversations isn't, you don't know what the result is going to be.
Right.
You just have to show up and you have to trust yourself and you have to trust your questions and you trust your instincts and you trust your voice.
And your experience.
And knowing yourself and uncovering your values and thereby making the best decisions you can.
Right.
And not just for ourselves, for larger institutions and organizations and systems.
Yeah.
Because for so long, women's voices have not been at the table or in the room in the same way. They still aren't.
Yeah.
And I think it's inspiring because there's risk-taking involved, right? There's
100%.
And there's that feeling of authenticity that leads to, I think, well-being. That when you uncover it, changes.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like it's what a gift I find that you and I have, that we can like live in the world in such a way that we're not putting ourselves in a box. I think about this a lot, like when it comes to sports. Like I think sports are like the one space, or one of the few spaces, where girls, where women can be fully themselves.
Yeah.
Where you can be loud, where you can use your body, where you can be sweat, you know, like all the things. And so it's like, okay, well, you know, we can't be doing sports all the time. So what are the spaces where, you know, that feeling of being fully, truly, authentically there, like what are all those other spaces?
I will never forget the newness in the feeling of when Pierre, when I started working with him and when I felt like I could be my entire self.
Right.
At work with him.
Yeah.
It was new. And it has changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think that one thing we can't underestimate that I think you and I have uncovered is the importance of feeling good in our work lives and how that spills over into the rest of our well-being. I'm not sure how well it works to say, well, I could put up with this like during the day and get what I need outside of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the limits are. And for everyone, I assume it's different.
Yes.
I had a very low threshold.
I think, different thresholds for different people, different motivators.
Yeah.
Right? Because for certain people, like I think we are extremely privileged. And for some, that privilege is simply not there.
That's 100%.
I've been blessed with, when I was working at McKinsey, I actually was with a group of incredible, like my team was incredible. And it was a team where I could be like very authentic, where it was also a team where, you know, my strengths were noticed and my strengths were, you know, were sought. And so I thought it was such an incredible experience. And so I really hope that finding that, I think is or having that in one's life, I think is extremely important, and creating that for others. Yeah. Right. As a manager now, and like I have people on my team as well. And it's just like noticing like, okay, like this is something that you're really good at. Let's make sure that we see more of that. And like, I'm not going to, obviously you're not great at everything. You and I are not great at everything. So what is it that, you know, obviously there's room for improvement in all sorts of categories, but it's like recognizing the strengths and like letting people like feel really good so that they can express themselves, just like Pierre does with you. You know, this whole conversation is just, as I think about my own journey, and I don't know if you've done this exercise, but if you've reflected on, like sometimes we think about like these big pivots that we make, but I think it's noticing like the micro ones. Oh yeah. The micro ones. We're thinking about all these little things and we make like these tiny shifts, whether it is, you know, I'm going to sign up for that course, or I'm going to, you know, do an ultra marathon, or like all these, everything that it's like all these little satellites, right? That are related to work life. And they're all these satellites are like micro decisions that we make all the time. 100%. And they say so much about us, I think. But we don't really think about it because it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm doing it. Like I'm just,
well, you know? I actually think about that a lot because I'm always surprised to see what I'm doing now based on where I started. And but I say we. Yeah. I think about it a lot too, because I think I have the space and the time. Yeah. Like I created, like as an entrepreneur, like, yes, I think we're both like, you know, we're very busy, but we also, like we just discussed, like we want to create space and time so that we can reflect. Right? Yes. And so we start noticing these things, right? And certain decisions. And so like right now, like I think there's certain objectives I have on the personal front. And I'm like, wow, this is like, it's insane that I'm doing this. Like I made a bad choice, like, but I'm able to, you know, have that conversation with myself. But I don't think we do it enough. I think that the best way that I kind of go about all of that is by giving myself a little of that space, because I know that I don't necessarily know what's next. Right. But I know that I can feel my way forward. Right. And that has been something that's existed for me since I started to give myself more space to feel, which I had the opportunity to, you know, after leaving law.
Have you ever felt like you were not moving forward?
That's a good question. No, probably. Well, it depends. It probably depends. Because what does it mean to move forward? I mean, I think I used to be more closely interconnected with my external achievement.
Okay.
You know, like I think I used to rely more on external achievement to feel progress.
Okay.
And I think now I'm much more able to feel what I really want to progress on, which is not like
it doesn't depend as much on the external.
I had to undo some of that.
Yes.
A-type, high achiever.
Yes.
I mean, like I still work on that all the time.
Yes.
But it's what feels good for me. Because at the end of the day, that's never a game that creates any kind of long-lasting sense of fulfillment as far as I'm concerned. I think the real joy comes from the meaning, which is based on achieving things or doing things, making things happen that are important to you.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think also it's the realization that you bring a lot more to the world when this is like this, what you just described is fully aligned.
Yeah.
If you have these self-reflections now, like which have started like, you know, a few years ago, for example, in our case, I'm curious about folks who have this much earlier, right? Like, you know, as you're raising children, same on my end, and for all of us out there who are blessed with families, right? Like, I think the question is like, what's the optimal way? Like figuring this stuff out earlier so that you're not quote unquote wasting time. You know, figuring it out. Like, I don't know.
Well,
it's like a bigger existential question.
I know some very young, impressive people in my life who seem to be on an earlier. Like, I definitely admire. Women, people who can hear themselves earlier on.
Yeah. I think I tend to agree with you. And I'm kind of jealous. No, I'm kind of jealous because of that ability to listen to yourself earlier on. I think there's a lot of value.
How lucky are we that we did it at all?
Well, yeah, like, kind of. No, but I mean, it's great, right? In the sense that it's like now, like there's much more purpose in our lives.
I know so many people who are not.
I know so many people who are not, but I also I love that you're mentioning I know some of these people too, but women who are younger than us, but who are already who are very much in tune with who they are. Yeah.
Do you think it's easier now? Do you think there's something to that or no?
Like easier to be
I don't know,
to live that.
Like, do you think that narrative is existing more now than it did when we were?
Oh yes, yes, of course. Well, I don't know about you, but I grew up with conservative, old school European parents. I went to a French from France school. It's very, you know, it's very linear. It's very much this is what you do. Do not stay on track. Yeah. And here are the 5 things that are important, you know, like in life, right? And so if you move away from that, or if you start listening to yourself, just even dare to start listening to yourself, it's like, no. Like that will derail you. So no, I think it is, for me at least, I think it's very much a product of generation and product of, you know, upbringing. Yeah. Right? And I think it might also be like my parents immigrated here. So there might be also like an immigration mindset, like we're here, this is a great opportunity. 100%. Don't blow this.
100%.
You know? Don't blow this.
100%.
So I think there's that as well. Yeah. That, you know, perhaps forged how I thought about myself and how I should be in the world. And then, and I think it's a little bit later in life that it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. It can be the way that I want it to be.
Well, what's interesting, what you're making me think is that I similarly take myself and my time on this earth seriously, you know, in terms of like, what is my output? What is my impact? Yeah. And I care a lot about that.
Yes.
And I think I used to go about achieving that by working hard and trying to prove things.
Yeah.
And then I ended up coming up against the system in a way where I was like, no, I want it to look different. And because I had the ability, I think, to take on leadership roles and find my voice, which I get, like, we are very lucky to even be in this position that we can. I think the idea is, no, actually, I think I could make a much bigger impact and have a much more important output by doing it authentically, by not just
I think that's
going through that old kind of...
That's the huge unlock.
Yeah, I think that is the unlock.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, before we wrap up, is there anything that we haven't discussed yet that you're hoping women and men, but likely more women, who are listening should hear?
I find that we get a lot of advice, and advice is very important. But because we are so unique and so, we're just so unique. The advice that you will get from A, B, or C, take it in, but you also have to figure out what makes sense for you. And that is very hard to do, I find. I mean, some people have it, but I find it can be very challenging to do that on your own. And so working with a coach, I think, is extremely powerful, or finding that person in your life that takes a coach approach. And often what that just is someone who's very curious and who listens. Just be with people who ask you questions to help you push your thinking. So, I would say find those people, gravitate towards those people who ask questions and who listen.
It's funny because you're making me think in my professional day life, when I am wearing my advising representative hat, I have clients who have said to me, I feel like you're somewhat of a financial coach, because in addition to obviously the investing part, that's what we're doing. We're having conversations and having a sounding board in all areas of your life, having someone who is really focused on kind of uncovering
helping you uncover you.
Helping
you uncover you.
Yeah, exactly.
So then once you make a decision, it feels really aligned.
Thank you for listening to You Belong in the Room, a podcast from PowerShip. If you enjoyed what you heard today, found it resonated, feel free to share it with someone you care about, and you can follow the show so you don't miss new episodes. You can listen to it anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And to learn more about PowerShip, feel free to check out the website, powershipcollective.com. There you can find out more about the Women's PowerShip Symposium as well. And follow us on Instagram at PowerShip Collective.